has asked me to meet him at the Bristol Museum, and I have a feeling he has a new idea for another one of our road trips of discovery. So James, why have you asked me to meet you here?
Well, this week I thought we could go on a bit of a fossil hunt. So I thought we'd go down to the Jurassic Coast in Dorset and go see if we can find the very own sea monster. These fossils are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they are, but where are we going to find our own fossils?
I think first I'm going to have to find an expert.
I'll go and find a map.
While Jennifer went to hunt for her map, I went on the hunt for a fossil expert. And that expert was just next door in the Wills Memorial Building of the University of Bristol. Here I asked the world-renowned paleontologist, Professor Mike Benton, how fossils are made and why he's dedicated his life to them.
Well, fossils can be preserved in many different ways. The commonest occurrence of fossils is that they are turned into rock in some way, and the correct word for that is petrified. These are the remains of once living creatures. And I think what excites me about them is there is nothing living like them. So in this case, this is a bone of probably a bone of an ichthyosaur. There are no living ichthyosaurs. There's nothing like them. You can't go to a zoo. You can't watch a film. So if we want to know anything about them, we have to look at these bones.
So it's not just to collect pretty fossils like this. Can they tell us anything about life today?
It helps us answer questions about origins. So I think everybody would want to know, whether you're a scientist or not, and this has been a question that people have argued about, well, for thousands of years. Where do human beings come from? And without fossils, we'd be perhaps struggling to answer them. But one of the good things about the fossil record is we can use that as a way of studying or trying to understand what might happen in the future.
Okay, so we're looking to go hunt for some fossils. Where should we go?
I suppose one of the best places, of course, would be Lyme Regis. This is one of the most famous in the world. I say that because Lyme Regis was discovered as a fossil site well over 200 years ago, and many people have heard of Mary Anning, and she made huge contributions.
Thank you very much for talking to us today. So we have our destination, the 95-mile Jurassic Coast down in Dorset. It's time to hit the road.
I'm ready to go.
So am I. I dropped Jennifer off at Lyme Regis and head to Charmouth to meet Chris Pamplin, a geologist and professional fossil hunter who's been leading guided walks for 17 years. I'm keen to pick his brains for fossil finding tips. So what makes this area so good for fossil hunting?
We've got cliffs that are always falling down, very soft cliffs, and we've got a lot of fossils coming out of those cliffs onto the beach.
Yes, what kind of fossils are we likely to find on the beach here?
Mainly ammonites and belemnites, the two most common fossils. But if we're very lucky, we might see a little bit of ichthyosaur backbone or something like that.
When we're on a beach like this, where's best to look? Is it more near the sea, or is it near the cliffs?
It's definitely away from the cliffs. It's down near the water. Let the sea do the work, let it come in over the beach and clean the beach up every day, and then look for stuff on the beach. And the secret really is to know which stones have got the fossils in and which haven't. If you find the right stone, you might get something like this. So these are ammonites, and there were hundreds and hundreds of these swimming around in the Jurassic seas. Not so many fish, but a lot of ammonites. Well, I've got another little one here, which has got a line of ammonites going around it, and if I hit that...
Absolutely amazing. We found this morning.
Yep.
Down here. It's not just the fossils that are impressive here. The cliffs at Charmouth and along the Jurassic Coast are England's first natural World Heritage Site. They show the sedimentary cross-section of a Jurassic seabed. And these layers, these rock strata, were laid down over hundreds of millions of years. And they're like the pages of a book. And on this book, we can read the history of life on Earth. And here we can even see how the immense forces of the Earth's plates moving and colliding has pushed these layers of rock upwards, creating these striking patterns.
Over in Lyme Regis, I'm finding out more about Mary Anning. Mary Anning was born right here in Lyme Regis in 1799. Self-educated, she made some of the most important paleontological discoveries of all time and changed the way we saw the history of our planet. At only 12, Mary and her brother uncovered an ichthyosaur in the local cliffs. Ichthyosaurs are not actually dinosaurs, but marine reptiles who lived in the water but breathed air like whales. Because of Mary, we have learned so much about these ancient giants. Well, ichthyosaurs are clearly still making a big splash, but I doubt we'll be finding any of them today. But hopefully I can beat James to finding their dinner, ammonites. are ancient marine creatures that lived in the seas between 240 and 65 million years ago. They're part of the cephalopods and have a modern-day relative in the Nautilus. They're generally spiral-shaped with these ribs, and I'm hoping to find some on my fossil hunt today. Having discovered lots in Lyme Regis, James picked me up and we headed back to Charmouth for our final challenge. Maybe I'll find enough to set up shop selling seashells by the seashore.
Well, let's make it interesting. 5 minutes, who can find the most fossils from the dead bit of driftwood to the plastic bag, okay?
All right, well, 3, 2, 1, go!
Keep off the cliffs, you hooligan!
I'm not gonna beat you!
This is not going to beat me. Okay, so we've got our treasure trove. You can see we've got some fossils on the surface here. They just look like little ammonites.
Amazing.
We can have a go.
Wow.
Chris showed me early on how to get on the inside to see if we've got any more.
Oh,
So-
I wish you luck.
I've never done this before. Ugh. I don't seem to be having much luck there. But
no.
let's try yours.
All right, let's give this a little go. Give this one just a little hit. Oh, I think I might have something.
It's ammonite.
Looks like another ammonite. As we said, ammonites aplenty.
Ammonites are plenty. Once again, females are proving the superior fossil hunters down here on the Jurassic Coast.
Yeah, the hat didn't help. You did it, James.
It did.
Well, as the sun sets, I think our time here is over. We're going to head back to Bristol now. We've had an amazing time here at the Jurassic Coast, and if you're looking for something fun to do this summer, why not come down and try fossil hunting yourself?
Spring has finally arrived, and everywhere you look, there are signs of new life. And here in the West Country, there are high hopes that this spring might signal something particularly special. 4 years ago, a partnership between RSPB, Wildfowl and Wetland Trust, Penstop Conservation Trust and Viridor Credit's environmental company embarked upon an ambitious project to reintroduce the large and common crane to UK wetlands. The project has now reached a crucial stage and carries with it a fascinating story. Damon Bridge set up this innovative project and manages the crane's reintroduction.
The Great Crane Project is all about reintroducing the common crane, which is a species that disappeared in the UK about 400 years ago, to get it back as a breeding bird. So each year for the last 5 years we've collected eggs from Eastern Germany, brought them to the UK, hatched and reared them, and then at about 10 to 16 weeks old they're brought down to the Somerset levels and then they've been released. This year is possibly the first year the birds are going to breed successfully, so it's a very exciting year for the project. And it's also the last year of the reintroduction of the project, so it's got a sort of a tinge with a bit of sadness as well.
This project begins at the Wildfowl and Wetland Trust Centre in Slimbridge, Gloucestershire. The eggs are brought over from Germany to a specially designed facility known as Crane School. Amy King has been their adopted crane mum since the project began and rears and nurtures the young cranes until they're ready to be released.
When they first get here, we take them out of the portable incubator that we brought them from Germany. That's run off a car battery, and then we put them into our chest incubator, which has a number of trays, and it just keeps them turning continuously, and it keeps the temperature and humidity regulated.
This mimics what the parents would do on the nest, and the eggs are kept here until they start to hatch.
And at that point, they need to be stopped turning, so we'll put them into our other incubators, which are called polyhatchers.
So how long are they in the polyhatchers for?
We keep them in there from the point that they've hatched off until 24 to 48 hours afterwards, until they've fluffed up and dried off, and then we bring them over to these rearing sheds and pop them into their rearing tanks. We use models of crane heads whilst we're dressed in our kind of crane costumes, just so that the cranes don't imprint on humans. We want them to be released into the wild. We want them to think that they're actually cranes. We try and bring them up as naturally as possible and simulate everything that their parents would do in the wild, even though it's not exactly the same. People think we're trying to actually look like cranes. We're not really trying to look like cranes, we're just trying to conceal the human form. They actually hit a stage around 6 weeks old where they go through sexual imprinting, so anything that they're kind of associating with at that period can affect where they choose to breed and who they'll choose to breed with.
There are now 54 cranes on the Somerset levels. Their breeding behaviour is monitored daily by Damon and his team of volunteers. So this is the monitoring equipment. What is it and how does it work?
Okay, so each bird, when they're released, they're fitted with a little radio tag on their leg, and the radio tag emits a signal on they're all on different frequency, and this receiver can pick up that signal, and we can scroll through the different tags on the different birds to work out who's present and who isn't. So basically, it tells the bird's somewhere out there. It could be half a mile or a mile or more away.
But Slimbridge isn't just important in the rearing part of the crane's reintroduction. Something extraordinary has been happening here over recent years. Some of the earlier released cranes have now returned to Slimbridge, which means that they're spreading to other wetland habitats. This gives the Slimbridge team a unique opportunity to see these birds from right up close. Jill Birtles is a volunteer here at Slimbridge who has been monitoring crane behaviour since their arrival. So what kind of monitoring do you do here at Slimbridge?
So I'm just basically looking through my binoculars or a scope to identify their ring numbers. I'm looking for where they are, what time of day it is, the weather conditions and what they're doing. And the main thing is who they're associating with, so who they're with, and even as detailed as how far apart they are from each other. If they're calling, if they're doing their alarm call, I want to see why they're doing it, if there's a predator or if it's just birds flying over. We just want to know how they act in the wild here in the UK. We've seen a lot of the birds courting, so they're doing their sort of flappy dance. We've seen birds fighting. And it's also important to see why they've come here. What is it at Slimbridge that we have that the birds like? Because they're raised here, but they're released in the Somerset levels, and then they fly back. So why they come here? Why are they choosing to nest here? It's all really important information.
So we've got long-term aim of having 20 to 25 pairs breeding successfully across the levels and moors. We won't know whether we've achieved that till about 2025. The bird itself is this iconic species, but what it stands for are it needs these big open wetland areas to remain as such into the future.
It seems that we may have to play a bit of a waiting game to see if this year will signal a success story for the Great Crane Project. Although these birds are young and inexperienced as parents, the Great Crane Project team hope that this year we may see some crane chicks, not just here in Slimbridge, but out on the Somerset levels as well. They hope that this project will not only successfully reintroduce breeding cranes into the UK wetlands, but will also raise awareness as to the importance of the wetlands and the cranes themselves. It may also serve as a model for future targeted conservation work. These beautiful birds are certainly a sight that I could get used to.